Here we are, live streaming, live uh, a a live look-in and a podcast solely about UNC versus Miami.
Yeah, that's funny. UNC is
Um,
last time I checked it was 38-45, but
but then they got up by 12, but now they're up by 9 because Miami's like, at least in the first half. In the first half, Miami was like 2 for 17, I want to
no,
say, from 2-point land, and he just missed a free throw.
that is
But they
terrible.
were like 9 of 13 from 3-point land.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't hit anything within 20 feet of the basket,
Wow,
but
that's
they just
terrible.
chuck it. And actually, really, UNC sucks this game too. But RJ Davis has like, he's probably got 27 or 28 points right now.
Coming off that win,
Yes, he's the only thing that's kind of holding. I mean, they'd be losing this game, which
e-
is the fact that Miami's down.
even in this.
Yeah.
You know what I
Um,
also thought
I,
about?
what do you
I
got?
also realized that a lot of our podcasts in 2024, we've had more podcasts, I feel, on Mondays than actually Sundays.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That's because
there's
we were
just no.
tearing it up on the court yesterday.
Well, I think I meant to lead with that. We could tell our viewers how we are now 1-0 in 2v2 basketball.
Yeah, 1-0, and then we are 3-1 in 5v5.
Yeah, and
You
the
were
1-0, folks, wasn't even close.
Yeah, it was not. It was not even close. You were just draining shots, nothing but net.
It was good because hopefully he doesn't listen to the podcast. But the guy I was covering was running up and down the floor, which was nice. And just quick score check. Miami's only down by 4 now.
Huh?
Um, he was running up and down the court, so that was good. But he couldn't hit anything. Like at first, I was worried because I was like, "This guy's
Which guy? What
fast.
guy are you
Is he
talking
good?"
about?
The dude I was covering most of the game, that the one that played 2v2 versus us, the smaller guy.
Oh,
Yeah, he couldn't hit a shot. So like, I
yes,
chase him, but then it didn't matter when he was actually open because he just couldn't make anything.
that's true. Yeah, hopefully he
And then
doesn't watch our
some of
podcast.
those shots, we won't yeah, we won't distract our viewers too much here. But I do have to just point out that some of the shots that were going in from people usually not on our team, uh, just were
I
should not have gone in.
I know who you're talking about. We both know who that is. I was
Meanwhile, the dude on our team who just was gunning with his one hand shot, uh, but like they almost all went in.
I don't know how he got that up.
They almost all went
He
in.
was gunning. Oh my goodness.
All right. Back on podcast terms here. I got an opening question for you.
Okay.
Let me. It's an open question trivia time thing. So, um, if I pull up, so the AP Top 25 was just released
Hmm.
today,
Yep.
and I believe in it, down at, I want to say, number 25. Yes, number 25 is South Florida after a
Hmm.
good win over SMU.
Hmm.
The South Florida is sitting at 25th. They're 21-5 right now. Um, let me just
I thought they were 21-6.
Are they 21-6? This is 21-5, I thought. This is
Oh,
21-5.
okay. I had same.
Um,
Well, not same thing, but ballpark.
so let me just make sure I got this right here. Yes, okay. All right. So without any doing any further research,
Hmm.
how do you feel about South Florida?
Well, I mean, I've done some prior research, so I can tell you that their coach came in from Kennesaw State, who almost upset. I think it was Xavier. I want to say Xavier in last year's NCAA tournament. So he's
Mhm.
brought a lot of guys with him from there. They were definitely an afterthought coming into the year, but now they're kind of morphing into This is a top 10 seed in the tournament. Like, I'm not saying a 1 or 2 seed, but I'm
Yeah.
saying seed line. Like, they are probably a 7 to 9 seed. They're playing really well right now. They have some guys who can score, and they're taking advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, I think they seem to be hot right now. They're playing with
Yep.
confidence. It's a team. Yeah, if they're a 10 seed, it's a team that I wouldn't want to see as a 7 seed.
Mm-hmm.
A team that
Yep.
feels like they could make a little bit of a run, a little bit of wave. Let me ask you though, trivia time.
Okay.
What do you think their quad one record is?
South Florida.
Yeah,
Um, they haven't played a lot of quad one games, have they? If
they
you're
have
asking me
not.
what their
They
quad
have
one
not.
record is, I'm gonna say 2-0.
They're 0-0. They have played no
That
quad
was
one games.
They haven't beat Memphis or FAU.
It must have been. I thought they did, but according to the net, they don't have any quad one games. They
Maybe
must have
maybe
either.
even Memphis. Maybe Memphis was moved down.
Yeah, it must have somehow been quad two because they are 5-3 in quad two. So 5-3 in quad
Yeah,
two for a team at USF's level isn't bad.
yeah.
Trivia
So
time.
you want to know?
Wait, I got one for
Hang
you.
on. Wait. Before you ask it, so I didn't know this. So if you can win a quad one game in December, but then if the team you beat gets worse, that
Yep.
quad one win goes away and it just drops to whatever that team is now. I didn't know that.
Yes.
I thought that
Which is
just stuck.
I Yeah, I don't like that. I think because
Yeah.
teams it's I don't because you also have to factor in what about like injuries, right? So what if you had
Mhm.
beaten Illinois in the beginning of
Yeah.
January, right? And let's say Terrence Shannon can't come
Mhm.
back and they free fall.
Yeah.
And now you're penalized because their best player's gone.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um
Or like if you look in Duke's case with Arkansas, that was a quad one game back in what, November?
yeah.
And now that's just down the gutter. Also, South Florida, if they ended up right now, I know there's going to be a new bracket coming out tomorrow, but going into the weekend, they would play Colorado State, and then if they won in the higher seed one, they would play Duke. So maybe a potential upset.
Well, we'll do a little Duke talk later. Not much about the court story, but
Okay.
there's a little bit injury news going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of the quads being able to change and stuff like that because there's I was listening. I think it was Wake Forest. So Wake Forest was really kind of looked down upon. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
god, the only thing keeping Miami or UNC in this game is RJ Davis. But the you Wake Forest lost to somebody on like a Saturday, like maybe like Clemson or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Sunday morning, their net had improved because Florida beat somebody and Wake beat Florida earlier in the season. So Wake went from losing on Saturday with no quad one wins to having a quad one win because Florida won. So they lost, but their net improved because Florida got better.
Was or I'm trying. Was Duke? Was that a quad 1 or 2 win against Duke?
That was quad one. Yeah, so Wake should have two
So
quad
that
one
was
wins now.
no. They only have one. I
Oh,
think
so that
Florida's
Florida
still
one
quad
must have
two.
got the Florida one must have changed then. Florida must have dipped back.
That's okay. So I have a thing to talk about that later when we get to the Duke Wake Forest game in terms of what that means for the bubble. But I'll get to that later. What was your trivia question you were going to ask me?
All right, USF
Mm-hmm.
no quad one wins or losses.
Mm-hmm.
Three quad two losses.
Mm-hmm.
How many quad four losses?
I want to say three,
Two quad four
two.
losses. So the my point is they seem to be playing well, but they
Yeah.
haven't played according to the net at least. They haven't played anyone, and they lost two real bad games.
Mm-hmm. I'm putting them in. I mean, they're hot at the right time. They don't look like they're slowing down at all.
Yeah, I put them in two. So going back to your, I mean, I guess we can talk about Duke real quick.
Okay.
Because I was going to mention Wake. Going back to the
Mm-hmm.
Wake thing, um, I did see that Lenardi in sometimes he posts little like previews of like here's what happens if this happens
Mm-hmm.
tonight games, and it looks like Wake went from first team out to
Mm-hmm. To last team
first
in.
four. There, no, he has them as one of the first four buys.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so he had them jump about 5 spots with that Duke win.
Hmm. Are you asking my opinion on that?
No, no, just point it out. Just point it out.
Okay. I I wonder if I know going into the weekend, Virginia was one of the last four buys, so I wonder if he
It
swapped Wake
it
and
flip flopped, I
Virginia.
think. Yeah, Virginia's in the first like last four in.
Yeah. But then that would make sense because you would have to bump A&M out because Virginia beat A&M
Yeah,
earlier in the year.
yeah.
Um, I I guess I'm shocked that Wake Forest was rewarded so highly for their win Saturday.
I
I
told
think we're
you.
making a
I told you through text. As much as it's all scientific metrics, I think it's the Duke bump. I think the Duke name carries this biased weight with that when you beat Duke, even if you can get a better win than Duke, which you obviously can this year, there's just something about the Duke name.
I I just here's my reasoning behind it is you can't win your first quad one game on February 24th. What's that? 3 weeks before Selection Sunday and be rewarded so much. I don't understand. I guess I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean the so what I was hearing is like the metrics, the computers really like Wake, but the computers reward you for losing close games, which Wake was doing. So the computers make Wake look like a better team than they are because Wake wasn't getting blown out, not because they were doing anything of they're not winning, right? And like losing a
Yeah,
close game in the tournament is still a loss.
yeah. And if you're Wake, let's be honest. That was Wake's season on the line right there Saturday.
Yes.
That was it for them because they have Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Wake for I'm Wake. No, not Wake.
Yes.
Georgia Tech and Clemson left.
And
So
if this season and Duke stuff has taught me anything, they're probably gonna lose that Georgia Tech game, right? Like these teams put so much emotion sometimes into these games, and then they just throw it away.
yeah, I could see them losing Virginia Tech and Clemson. And I think they can maybe afford to lose one, but two they absolutely can't afford to lose
Yeah.
because what are they now? I don't know what they are now. They're 18-9. The only undefeated team at home in the
Yeah.
ACC. Interestingly enough, um, I mean, I guess you can tie that. We'll get back to Duke on this, but Gonzaga, they're a 23rd ranked team this week, but they're 1-5 in quad one. They have one quad one win,
Hmm.
and you're telling me that they're the 23rd best team in the country?
Yeah, that's a good
No
point.
way.
I think if in unless you are like, oh my god, unless you're like 1-0 or 2-0 in quad one,
Yeah,
it feels like if you're gonna be if you're gonna if, so if you're a a team from a Power Six conference,
Mm-hmm.
by March, you should
Yep.
have at least 4 or 5 quad one wins.
Yeah. Five to yeah, I was gonna say 5 to 6. So we're
Yeah.
spot on. 4 to 5, five to
Yeah.
six.
If you don't
Yeah.
have at least 5 quad one wins, that shows that you can't really be rely. It's not that you can't win, right? It's not that Wake. We talked about this yesterday. Like I think Wake's good, so it's not that Wake couldn't get hot and make an Elite Eight,
Mm.
but it's we talk about this kind of every year when they figure out should we let a Power Six or a mid major in. It's
Mm-hmm.
about it's the question of can someone do it versus are we rewarding someone? Like, can Wake do it?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, but do they deserve it?
Yeah. It's funny that we're sitting here saying this, and currently Alabama is 3-7 in quad one and six in the net, and Auburn is 2-6 in quad one and seventh in the net.
And I
Um,
think I've read somewhere that Alabama might have beat Auburn, Auburn might beat Alabama because it was something like if it was like if you take them beating each other out of the situation, then
yeah,
those records look even worse.
yeah, yeah. Alabama got thumped by Kentucky.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to say anything about the game? Kyle Filipowski court storming.
I'd say a quick thing. Well, one, Flip looks like he's gonna be fine. They didn't even do like I kind of thought it was a bit of a reaction. I didn't think it was much,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't do like an MRI or anything. But Caleb Foster did get some imaging done because apparently he
Mm-hmm.
hurt his ankle. He wasn't playing in the second half, and I just thought it was because Roach was playing really well and Proctor was playing pretty decent. But I guess
Mm-hmm.
he hurt his ankle, and so he did get
Oh.
stuff done. So they're not quite sure. I don't know how severe it is.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the play. Um, so that hopefully, I mean, they've got Louisville at home. On
Yep.
Wednesday, so hopefully that's easy enough that guys can kind of just rest a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
but the game, I thought Duke played well. The Duke of the past couple of years would have been down 15-3 in the first 2 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought
Mm-hmm.
it was an electric atmosphere, and I thought they handled it well. It
Yep.
just some kind of stupid mistakes, like Jeremy Roach got picked. That I mean that was fine, but then I thought he came down, tried rushed it a little bit, and got a turnover right after getting picked. Um, but even that, I mean, they had a chance. They were down two with the ball, and I wish I had video. I stood up, they because it went pretty fast. Like they got the ball off a rebound and they pushed it. So as soon as they get the rebound, I stood up, and maybe 3.5 seconds later they turned over and I just fall to my knees. Oh, it was miserable. Because I get that there's some criticism behind the play because basically Proctor was going to give the ball to Flip out on the 3-point line when he wasn't really
Mm-hmm.
open, but Flip had just hit a three, and I don't know. I find it's one of those things like you lose games at the end of game, but you don't really, right? Like it's like, hey, maybe if we had made 2 more free throws or we had done this, so you can't like put it on like one thing. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
I was encouraged by it. Obviously, you want to win the game, but I think that they're getting tougher. Um, they're playing a bit more physical. I don't think they're going to get pushed over in the tournament. They might lose, but I don't think they're going to get pushed over. So
Mm-hmm.
I was okay with it. The court storming is. I'll tell you actually my new thing about the court storming. So I don't mind court storming. I don't know how you really prevent it.
Mm-hmm.
But after Flip got knocked into, and some people are kind of criticizing Flip. They're saying like he tried to push a guy right on the court and stuff like that. But when after he got hit, he John Shire recognized it a little bit late because I think he was shaking um, the Wake's coach's hand.
Forbes.
Yep, yep. And he turns and he like kind of starts rushing towards Flip, and he pushes by
Mm-hmm.
not even like not physically, but like moves by this Wake Forest kid. like a fan, and the Wake Forest fan like swears at him, like pulls out his camera, like he's trying to like get like, oh, like I'm gonna like sue this guy for $1 million so he came by me. It's like, dude, like you're on the court. There's
Hmm.
basketball, like that part annoyed me.
Yeah.
That and the fact that the Wake fans were on the court with 7/10 of a second left. I know we talked. I didn't really want the technical, but it does feel like, okay, maybe you can't stop court storming, but you gotta at least stop the kids from on the
Hmm.
floor before the game's over.
Hmm.
If
Yeah.
you can't do that, then like, what are you doing?
Hmm. Yeah. I think you got some good points. I think realistically for Duke, you're probably looking at what, a 3-4 seed
Yeah, I think if
going
they
into the
won
weekend.
that, if they won that game, they had if they won out just in the ACC regular season, they had a chance at a 2 seed
Hmm.
because UNC looks like they're a 2 seed right now.
Hmm.
So if Duke had gone undefeated and then beat UNC, they're probably a 2 seed.
Hmm.
Now I think if they beat UNC, there's still a chance at a 2 seed, but probably a guaranteed 3 seed. They lose to
Mm.
UNC, there's a chance you fall to a 4 seed, um, but it looks like they're
Yeah.
probably in that three range right now.
Yeah. All year it's been looking like they're going to take on the Ivy League winner, or actually going into the weekend they'd have a matchup against Vermont, which is actually interesting.
I don't want either one of those teams. I hate the
Yeah,
Ivies.
I mean Vermont.
Ivies will just backdoor their way into like defeating you. Like,
This is what I said. I said I'm done picking. Like sometimes you know how you just pick based on seed,
yeah,
and you're like they're not good. I'm done doing that because in this day and age, it doesn't matter.
yeah, I want them. Although last year I was nervous when Duke played Oral Roberts and they smoked them.
Yeah, they.
Yeah,
I remember that you were so
yeah,
nervous,
it wasn't even close.
and
Yeah,
then you were probably nervous the whole day, and then for nothing.
I gotta check my personal time. I think I'm gonna try to take last period off on the first Friday of March Madness because I don't have a
Mm.
class the first period of or the last period on Thursday. I don't have a class, um, and
Oh,
the
smart.
last period on Friday I do have a class, and it's one of those classes, right? Like some classes you can control, and some classes, especially like last period on a Thursday, you can get in a buckle down. But
Mm.
last period on Friday, no one wants to do work anyways. Never mind
Yeah,
when like basketball's on.
yeah,
And I don't really
yeah.
mind if they're watching basketball. I get annoyed. It usually doesn't happen in the NCAA tournament. Sometimes it'll happen in the ACC tournament. People will be watching. They'll be
Uh huh.
watching basketball when they're supposed to be doing work, and they know I'm a big Duke fan, and Duke will be playing, and they'll try to be like, "Oh, you would do," and I'm like, "Dude, like, leave me alone. I want to go home and like watch this game." And people are trying to give you like spoilers. Although, like two years ago, I gave an assignment, and I think it was 2 years ago. Um, and Duke was playing Syracuse in the ACC
Hmm.
tournament, and it was back and forth. And someone on Duke, I forget who it was, hit a three. So I had the game on my computer, and I'm walking around the class, like watching what everyone's doing. And I go back in, I'm kind of checking the game to see what's going on. And someone hit a three with like 2 minutes left, and I go, "Oh no, no!" You know what it was? I had like my computer plugged in, um, and I unplugged my computer, which made the volume go on. And so the Duke game started playing over like
Hey, you're a dedicated fan. It's all right. Yeah, we are less than 4 weeks from Selection Sunday.
yeah.
We're getting there. It's close. It's coming up.
Let me give you one more trivia time, and then we can do a little like review of what happened this past weekend.
Okay.
All right. So I prepped you for this a little bit earlier. I won't. I'll give you the
Mm.
conference if you're really struggling. Um,
Okay.
tell me which. So I will tell you that both teams are in the same conference. Which
Hmm.
two teams? Oh my God, RJ just is crushing it. UNC was up by 12, and Miami came storming back to get to 7, and he hit another three. He's got to have at least. Wait, he's got 36. Um,
with still 430 left.
yeah, yeah, he's gonna go for 40, especially if Miami can get close because they're gonna have to foul him. But
He's got 39 now. He just hit a three.
so yeah, you're a little bit ahead of me. I'm streaming it, so he's got the ball right now, man. He's on fire. Oh yeah, yeah, that was a tough three too. That was a pullback. That was a drive between the
Yeah.
legs, pull up. I don't really hate RJ Davis that much. I I would say he's uh I hesitant to call him like a favorite UNC player, but I wouldn't like if he was like playing well in the NBA, I wouldn't be like, oh man, like the heck with that guy. So two teams, same league. These two teams are
hmm
the only two teams in the top 100 of the net that have a
hmm
losing quad three record.
Okay. The only
And I'll
two
tell you,
teams in the
one of them
net.
is let me look up their records. One of them is 2-3 in quad three, and the other one is they might even not be both. They're both top 100. They might be higher than that. What do these guys have?
Well, here's my first one. I can tell you my first one off the top of my head because it's my Texas A&M Aggies. We are 2-4 in quad three.
Oh, did I miss
Um,
that? I might admit there's three teams then. Okay.
I can tell
So the
you that.
other two teams are on the top 65 in the net. Um,
Okay.
where's Texas A&M at? Where are they in the net? Oh, there they are. Oh,
Texas
you're right. Okay,
Texas
there's three
A&M,
teams. Okay, three teams. Yep.
and then they're in the top 65.
Yeah, the other two teams are from the Big East.
The Big East. I'm gonna okay.
One of them you definitely know.
I'm gonna say Villanova.
Villanova, because you were trying to fire their head coach early in the year.
Yes, right. But now we're firing him.
Yep.
The Big East, two and
Yep.
you said losing record in quad three.
Yeah. So the other team is um, not very good. Actually, the other team is 13-14 overall, and they're still 64th in the net. This team sucks. They're 2-10 in quad one, 0-2 in quad three, and they're still 64th in the net.
Who's at the bottom of the Big East that I have not? It's definitely not. No, that's
Yeah,
Xavier.
it's Xavier.
It is either Xavier or Georgetown.
That's terrible. 13-14, 2-10 in quad one,
uh,
0-2 in quad three, and they're hanging right around. Like they're only
wow,
6 spots away from Texas A&M.
wow, yeah, that's
They're
embarrassing
they're
for
ahead of
us.
Ohio State. Speaking of Ohio State,
Big win yesterday.
yeah, a little resurgence after the firing the head
No,
coach.
no, no, it's not. It's not happening. No,
They're
too many
16 and
losses.
12, 3-6 in quad one. They're
They got to make a lot of things. Just
yeah.
watching
I mean
2 weeks,
they're
they'll be
but
like Ohio State.
yeah. So I had what was I gonna bring up? Because I'm just thinking of since we mentioned Ohio State, um, I'm thinking Big Ten. I was gonna say something. Oh, I was just thinking about like our prediction show when we get the actual brackets, and when it comes
hmm
down to whether or not I'm gonna pick Purdue. I decided that
hmm
I unless Purdue like crumbles down the final couple games, I decided there's no way I'm not picking Purdue in the first round
Okay.
because I think it's
All right.
I just maybe it's because Zach Edey's so big that he's
hmm
he's like a scary man, but like
Well, FDU didn't care.
I just don't like it's like Virginia. I don't know. I just think Purdue is going. I think Purdue's going to hammer whoever they play um, in the first round. RJ Davis is about to go for over 40 now.
Well, Purdue, there's been a little reshuffling. Purdue is still at number two. Or no, they moved up to two. UConn moved down after that loss to Creighton. Houston's our new number one.
Yeah.
Purdue, yeah, I don't know. It depends. Will they? I think the big question for Purdue is: are they going to survive the first weekend?
Yeah.
I think that's the big question for them. Um, from everybody, I think. Speaking of the Big East is a hot spot for the bubble,
Yeah, especially
and I'm
so. I mean,
sure.
I declared St. John's dead the other day.
Yeah, and you never know. I mean, that team is not a tournament team, but they'll probably just hang around the bubble with that Creighton win.
I could see. I I wouldn't bet on it, but it wouldn't shock me if I tell you what. Let me finish my thought. It wouldn't shock me if UConn got upset in the Big East tournament championship game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure by who, um,
Mm-hmm.
but I could see. I don't think that impacts them at all. I think they're probably the favorite to win the national championship. But for something
Mm-hmm.
about me just says like kind of a team gets hot in the Big East tournament. They're feeling good. They're playing physical, and they kind of just catch
Mm-hmm.
UConn.
Yeah.
Which I only say that because even if that's a Creighton or whatever, no biggie, right? Creighton,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, Creighton, UConn both in, but St. John's gets a little hot,
Yeah.
right? Like it would be interesting. So it would be interesting to see what happens. I do have to finish my other that I had, like UNC. You could probably see farther ahead than I can. Right now, UNC is only up by
Mm-hmm.
7 on what I'm watching,
Mm-hmm.
but if RJ Davis didn't have like 41 points, like I don't know how much I fully trust this UNC completely because Miami
Mm-hmm.
sucks right now. And
Mm-hmm.
they're still kind of in this game. They're gonna lose, but like they're still kind of in this game. And if RJ Davis didn't have freaking 40 something points, I mean they'd be winning the game.
Yeah. I mean, I think Duke. I'm going to flip it to Duke because Duke's best chance to they're going to tie probably for a share of the
Yeah,
title if Duke can beat UNC in Cameron. But I mean, I don't see UNC losing to NC State or Notre Dame, so I think it's going to come down to the last game of the year. UNC's tricky. It depends who's if the whole team's on, like we saw against Duke. That's going to be difficult. But if it's just RJ Davis, teams can say we're just going to let him get his, and
they
you
so
know,
let's have a quick chat about Virginia.
okay,
Not even so much if they're going to get into the tournament, but like I don't like what would Virginia do in the tournament? Like, is their defense good enough to win multiple games, or or is their offense just so bad that like it just doesn't. I mean, they held UNC, who's a really good offensive team, to like 50 something points. They held
mm-hmm,
Wake. I think it was Wake. Yeah, they held Wake. And now, granted, it was on the road, but Wake averages 70 something points on the road and 80 some points at home, and they held Wake to like
mm-hmm,
47 points.
mm-hmm.
But Virginia can't score 50 points.
Yeah, this is the third game in a row that they have failed to score above, matter of the fact, 47 points. I mean, you hold North Carolina to 54 points, but I think the biggest question for Virginia is can they score enough? I think I read somewhere that they are 120 something in offensive efficiency in the nation. I think it's 124. That's extremely bad.
I was
And you're telling me if they get in the tournament, if they face up against someone who goes on a little bit of a scoring run, I'm not confident that that Virginia team can come back. That defense is always going to be there, but if you can't match up scoring wise, it's not going to work out. Because what do they have? Like 20 points at halftime Saturday? They had
yeah,
16.
and right, and
That's not.
if you look at these numbers, the
Yep.
Virginia of old played great
Mm-hmm.
defense, but they slowed you
Mm-hmm.
down, and they were going to
Yep.
hit probably a three on you, right? Or they're going to dump it down to a big man.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia's shooting
Mm-hmm.
43% from the field,
Mm-hmm.
64% from the free throw line, and
Mm-hmm.
36% from three. So this is the team that's going to slow you
Mm-hmm.
down, but then they're not going to make a basket on you. Like they're just not a good
Yeah.
offensive team.
I mean, you look at it on Saturday, they shot 27.6% from the field, 14% from 3 point line. I guess if you want to look at the optimistic part, is you shoot that bad and you only lose by 10. That's pretty good. But if you can't, I think tournament time, one game where you've got to throw everything, on the table, I'm not sure how confident I am in picking this Virginia team. I think they can win a first four game depending on the matchup,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it's much besides that.
Speaking of, though he hasn't, Lenardi hasn't updated anything yet, right?
Nope. Tomorrow, I think we'll get the update.
So his, he's gonna hit that.
He
Um,
had Virginia as a last four bye, so they'll probably be down.
so I know this has changed, but off
Mm-hmm.
of his last thing when he had Texas A&M in,
Mm-hmm.
his last four
Mm-hmm.
in were Seton Hall. So let's take his first four
Mm-hmm.
out and last four in: Seton Hall,
Mm-hmm.
Providence, Gonzaga, Texas A&M, Wake, Ole Miss, Utah, Butler. Those eight
Mm-hmm.
teams, which one? Because it seems like every year someone from the first four goes on a big run. So
Mm-hmm.
out of those eight teams, which one of those do you think could is the best chance to make it to at least the Sweet 16?
I'm gonna say Seton Hall.
I was gonna say that
That
too.
that's my pick. That's my pick. I think Seton Hall, just a matter of consistency,
Yep.
um, can go to the Sweet 16. Definitely, it's interesting.
Hit
I
that.
mean, the
Ah!
the first four out, Wake is the only team that won. I wonder if Wake and Virginia swap places and A&M potentially gets lucky and stays the last team in, but we don't deserve it because we are trash. Like we absolutely suck. We are the most inconsistent team that has ever been on the face of this earth. We have 6 quad 1 wins, and then you lose 3 quad 3 losses in conference, and you wonder why you're left out of the tournament. We have no consistency. We look dead on the floor. We don't even look like we want to be there. We are trash.
And
If we don't beat South
that's not a
Carolina, if
looking
we don't
dead
beat
on the
South Carolina, our season's over.
but looking
That's
dead on
it.
the floor
That's it.
is not a characteristic of a Buzz Williams coach team.
No, but we look dead on the floor. We look horrible. Did you see that game on Saturday? Because I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't because we got blown up by 34. I don't even know why we showed up. We should have just fired up the bus and gone back home at halftime because we are awful. We don't have the scoring, and that's it. Wade Taylor, you can't depend on Wade Taylor to score 41 points a game and then not have consistency from anybody else.
Yeah, it.
We're as bad offensively as Virginia. We suck. We are trash. If we don't beat South Carolina, our season's over. That's it. Like we are done. There's no way we're making the tournament if we don't beat South Carolina.
You got to hope that they can put. Well, they're gonna have to play. They're gonna have to play 4 games in 4 days. It so to make a run in the conference tournament, it's gonna be tough.
What are we now? I don't even know why I'm looking because we are
We're
trash.
like
We have South
15 and 13 or
Carolina.
something like that.
We are 15 and 12. We have South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. So we need to theoretically we need to go 3-1. And then we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are 10. We are worse than LSU.
Here,
How is that
here's the
possible?
problem. You have to go 3-1, but it's a tough one to figure out which one to lose, right? Because it can't be the South Carolina one, but you don't want to lose to Georgia.
I'd rather
It's
lose.
probably the Ole Miss one, but you need the Ole Miss
We
win.
suck. We are trash. We'd have to play the. I think we'd have to play the 7 seed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'd have to play Mississippi State in the tournament.
That is tough. You beat Tennessee, and they came out and whooped you by 35.
I really don't know how.
That Vandy one,
We
that
need to
the
win.
Vandy and Arkansas losses hurt a lot.
Let me tell you, the Vanderbilt one,
Is Vandy a quad
I
four?
wasn't surprised.
Does Texas A&M have any quad four losses?
I don't know. The Arkansas one, I shut the game off with 3 minutes left because I knew it was hopeless and we had already lost. And I was like, I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah. So let's do a little look ahead to the week. Um,
Now you've got my blood pressure up.
let's
Okay, look ahead to the week. Are you looking for my top games of the week?
yeah. Let's do kind of what we've been doing, like top 1 or 2 games of the week, and then of
Okay.
of the weekend.
Okay. Um, let's see. For the week, I said Alabama, Kentucky, and then Kentucky went up and put
I
117
know,
points on
I
Alabama.
know. Kentucky. I mean, they're
Um,
oh man, Kentucky feels like a team that you're like, oh, this is gonna be a Final Four team, and they're gonna blow it, right? Because they can score so well,
yeah,
but you're like,
yeah.
there's gonna be a game where they just can't hit something, and they're just
Uh
gonna
huh.
fall.
Yeah, that is usually how it goes for them. How about that Washington State game? We're gonna show some love to Wazoo. On did you stay up for that?
I did not.
Oh,
I had intended
boo,
to, but then
boo.
but then they lost to Arizona State. They beat the good
Yeah,
Arizona
I
and
know.
lost to the bad Arizona.
Yeah, I know. Well, what can you do? I feel like all of my games of the week are SEC games.
Yeah, Wednesday you got Auburn, Tennessee. Um,
I'm gonna say tomorrow, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and then Wednesday night, Seton Hall against Creighton are my top two of the week. And my honorable mention, I think Baylor TCU will be good tonight.
yes. So I'll give you you.
And I'm gonna give my second honorable mention. I'm gonna go Harvard Yale Saturday night.
Okay. What are they
You?
doing? I'm watching.
Oh wait, sorry, that was supposed to be the week. That's my honorable mention for the weekend. Harvard Yale.
So I would say during the week, my I'm gonna say game of the week for the week. Seton Hall Creighton. That's a Wednesday
Mm-hmm.
game.
That. Yep.
And
Yep.
then game of the week that I'm not gonna watch because I always like to put that out there. Is going to be on Thursday. It's going to be San
Oh yeah.
Francisco versus Gonzaga because
Gonzaga.
if Gonzaga wins that, okay, all right,
Mm-hmm.
we can talk a little bit now. All right, that's maybe a quad one game, perhaps because it's on the
Mm-hmm.
road, so it's probably quad one, I think. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but if they lose that, it's like you getting these chances and you're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So those would be that, and then on the weekend, I'm gonna go with. Let's see, I am. Once this thing kind of speeds up here, um, come on.
Here's my weekend. I'm gonna tell you my weekend right here. My weekend is Saturday. I am going St. Mary's Gonzaga.
Yeah, I mean, this could
Um,
be a huge week for Gonzaga. Like we're talking down them a
yep,
little bit, but this could be a big week.
yep. I'm gonna go St. Mary's Gonzaga, Florida South Carolina, and Kansas Baylor.
Yeah, Kansas Bell is always fun.
Yep.
Um,
And then Marquette Creighton will be good too. Duke, Virginia. Just
Duke
watch you
Virginia
guys
could be
lose that
good.
one.
Yeah. I'm gonna say yeah on the weekend. I like that's in Arizona, so yeah, I like Kansas Baylor. Um, I'm gonna say that the games I'm most interested in are
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, Tennessee,
Yep.
Kansas Baylor. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go those two, and then game of the weekend that I'm not going to watch is especially because it's a road game, and because it seems like every time someone gets hot, they blow it. I'm gonna say South Florida versus Charlotte. So South Florida, newly
Okay.
ranked, is gonna have to go into
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte and play a decent Charlotte basketball team. Um,
Okay.
and really playing. I don't know if South Florida can get an at large. But I mean they can't lose this game again at large. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I guess we will see.
What do you think? Real quickly. Um, what do you think about FAU's loss
Mm-hmm.
to Memphis? I mean, it's right, not a bad loss,
I'm
but
not
are they
surprised.
like? I don't know about this
Yep.
FAU team. They got to play Memphis again.
I think right. I think right now they're a 9 seed. So I think if you lose to Memphis and then you lose,
Maybe
say, in the
North Texas,
first
right?
round
It's
of
not
the
impossible to think that.
tournament, then you're cutting it close.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, thank goodness it beat
Yeah,
UNLV.
that's. I did see that. I said maybe North Texas they would lose to North Texas. No, not thank goodness. Nobody cares about FAU. We're done with them.
You probably the game's probably already over on your end, but I tell you, I don't know if this is so for our fans that are not watching this game, it's I apologize because you probably hate this part of the podcast, and as a UNC hater, that's why I'm watching it, but it's either like great on Miami for their effort or like, holy heck, North Carolina. Armando Bacot has 5 points. He's 1 of 6 or 1 of 7 from the free throw line.
hmm
He fouled out. So 5 points, five
I,
fouls, 1 of 6 or 1 of 7 from the free throw line.
I thought he had 8.
And like and Miami's down two starters. UNC was up, I think 12 or 14 when RJ Davis went on this huge like run. UNC got up 12 or 14 with like 4:30 left
hmm
or something like that. And at least on my TV screen, and again, I'm
hmm
pretty confident Miami's going to lose. On my TV screen, they are up. Miami just blew it. They're down by two, or they're down by two, and they have to foul. So like I said, I'm sure they'll lose the game, but it just feels like I don't know. Like
hmm
Hubert Davis said at halftime, and this goes back to what we talked about after the Duke game. Hubert Davis said that he thought his team wasn't playing with any
hmm
energy, and it's like you hate to
hmm
compare Duke and UNC, especially after UNC beat Duke.
Yeah.
But Duke went into Miami, and Miami
Yep.
was missing the same, or not the same two, but Miami was missing two starters when Duke went in, and Duke just manhandled them. And
hmm
in this case, if UNC didn't have
hmm
41 points, or whatever, from RJ Davis, they lose this game.
Yeah. I know they're losing. Yeah.
I still like them in the
Yeah.
tournament. Like
All
I still think
interesting things
UNC
to.
is I when they're on, I just think they're really good.
hmm I. And
Yeah.
it depends on matchup for me. I'm not plugging anybody in yet. We're gonna wait this one out and see what it looks like on Selection Sunday.
Let's see. Sorry for the awkward silence here, fan base. As I'm sure he's gonna. Are you kidding me? Are you watching this game?
Are you talking
The
about
UNC
what
game?
part are you talking about?
It's probably over at this point. So like,
Yeah,
they're
well,
UNC could have salted the game away. And RJ David or Armando Bacot missed 2 free throws. Seth Trimble missed 2 free throws. But then they gave up the
mm-hmm,
offensive rebound. They could have had the ball down by 2. And they let this dude just sneak in. Oh my
mm-hmm.
goodness. Jalen Withers. Jalen Withers doesn't
Losing
even
habits right
play in
there.
the games. You let us.
Well, he's gonna earn he's gonna earn some more
Oh my
minutes now
goodness.
after
I
that.
hate college basketball.
No,
I
you
hate
don't.
UNC though. And I would have loved if they lost the
There you go.
game.
That's better.
Um,
That's
yeah.
better.
So that's yeah. It looks like another fun week. Another week of I'm sure upsets. Another week of things shifting around. And really, I think we've got what 2 weeks left of the regular season. Yeah, I want to say
Yes.
yeah, yeah. It
Less.
looks like two
Less than
weeks.
two
Yeah, the regular
weeks.
season or 2 weeks. 2 weeks from or yeah, 2 weeks from Sunday probably. Yesterday.
No, less. There's less than 2 weeks. We got conference
Yes.
tournaments starting for mid majors the week
Everyone else ends.
of
I
the
want to say
March
Duke
5th.
UNC is probably the 9th. Duke UNC is probably Saturday. That's probably the last regular
Yep.
season day.
Mm-hmm. Then
Yep.
you got the conference tournaments after that.
No. Yeah, they're out. So wait, let's finish up on this. Give the audience a brief little insight into your game at Dartmouth.
A game at Dartmouth. Okay. I'm gonna shift the focus to Princeton here. I'm gonna say that I mean, we all know what Princeton did last year. Um, for those of you who are possibly thinking of picking an upset in the first round, um, Princeton might be a viable pick. I was very impressed. They're a veteran team. They play hard. They play tough. Dartmouth gave them a game, as you know, every bad team does. But I was very impressed by Princeton. It was like you said, a lot of cutting, backdoors, screening, a lot of movement. It's very tough to keep up with those teams if you're not used to that level of action and cutting and movement. Um, because you don't play the Ivy League every day, and they're going to use their on court smarts and their basketball IQ to beat you. So I would definitely think about picking Princeton to win a
Now,
tournament
does
game.
the Ivy still does not have a conference tournament? They just picked the regular season winner to go.
They do. They do. I think they've had the
Okay.
conference tournament now
Okay.
for 2 years since coming back from COVID. Actually, interesting. I might be at the Yale Harvard game Saturday night
Okay.
at Yale. Um, so another interesting team to
Yeah,
potentially
I don't even
potentially
know if the
watch.
Ivy's even a secret anymore. I think it used to be like people that watched basketball were like,
Yeah.
"All right, you got to be careful of the Ivies. They're smart. They know how to play basketball." Now like I
Hmm.
think people know and like they're getting athletes now too, right? Like you're getting
Yeah.
I think culturally, I think it's a bit of evolution of schooling and athletics anyways. I think you're starting to get some of these
Hmm.
good athletes in high school sports that are starting to understand a little bit
Definitely.
more about
Definitely.
like the competitiveness of it and needing to still do well in school.
Hmm. Yep. Definitely. One of my first thoughts actually was, walking around campus and see all the
Mhm.
kids in the library who are non-athletes, and I'm thinking to myself, how does an
Yeah.
Ivy League athlete handle that? That's got to be an insane. That I mean, it's an insane time commitment anyway to play Division One basketball, but it's even. This isn't a word, but I'm going to substitute an
Yeah.
insaner to be an Ivy League athlete because you really have no free time.
Yeah, and you feel like,
So props to
I'm
them.
sure there's a slight little leeway. Maybe you take a one less class, you can get something a little bit late, but it's not the same
Hmm.
leeway as you get at like Duke. Like
Yeah. Yep.
if you're
Definitely
especially
not.
if you're like you know six man, right? You're that first guy coming off the bench. You
Hmm.
probably right the next
Yeah.
morning you probably got to be in class, right? Maybe the star point
Hmm.
guard,
Yep.
maybe he can be like, hey, I got to get to some treatment. Can I come to a tutor session later? But most
Hmm.
of those guys, they got to turn stuff in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're probably waking up at 6, you're lifting for an
Yep,
hour, you're eating, and then you're going to class, and then you're coming back and getting shots up and going to class again, and then
yeah,
practice. It's insane. So
yep.
kudos to those kids because there are very few of us who could ever do that. So
Mm-hmm.
we respect you, Ivy League.
Three, four. All right. I was taking a quick look at the bracket matrix to see if anything kind
Mm-hmm.
of jumped out to me. I see Northwestern as a 9 seed, which we haven't talked. We chatted about
Mm-hmm.
Northwestern, but not too recently. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State still kind of hanging in there as an 8 seed.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot of changes. I think at this time of the year, it's more about the bubble and then that occasional
Yeah,
3-4 seed switch. I don't think you're going to see a lot of movement at the top of the
yeah,
bracket anymore.
yeah. I could see. Yeah, those twos right now look pretty solid. At least the bracket matrix twos, and even the ones. I could
Hmm.
see the one could flip flop, but
Yep.
like Purdue, UConn, Houston, Arizona, UNC, Tennessee, Kansas, Marquette. Those all look pretty good.
Yeah. The only two I could see flipping is
Yep.
Tennessee becomes a one if they beat
Yeah.
Auburn, Alabama, and make a
Yeah.
deep run. I
Arizona
could see them
can't blow
flipping,
another
but
one. They'll get jumped by somebody if they
hmm,
do.
yep, definitely not. Yeah,
All right. Well, we got this in. People said we couldn't do it, but here we are.
here we
I
are.
know.
It's crunch
Uh,
time. We got to get it in for our viewers.
all right. Well, that was good. Yeah. So we back next weekend. Perhaps not. Probably not next Monday. I believe Duke is playing NC State next Monday. I believe,
Yes,
which is definitely a scary game.
yes. So
Sunday or
Sunday.
Tuesday. We could, if worst case, we'll push it Tuesday
Yes,
there.
that's true. I am
Okay.
on spring break next week, so. But the week after, we're entering danger time because I will be in Colorado from March 8th to the 14th. So we're going to have to, but I
Okay.
will be back for
All
Selection
right. All right.
Sunday. Made sure of that. So, um, but I will do my catching up in Colorado. Um, but yeah, we may have to do a twofer in 4 days. So we'll see.
Preview show. Maybe Tuesday the 19th.
Yes, but we have to do it before,
Oh yeah,
but we
yeah,
have to
yeah,
do it
yeah,
before the
yeah.
first
So I guess
four,
we have to do
though.
Monday 18th. I,
So it may have to be Monday. It
yeah,
may have
yeah.
to be the Monday of the
Well,
18th.
I'm gonna have to make my picks fast then. I'm gonna have to lock in that Sunday night.
You are. Yeah, but we all know we're gonna make the picks
Yeah.
on here, and then we're gonna change them at least 5 times before Thursday. So we know how that works.
All right, sir. Well, good talking to you. Yeah, and we'll
It was a pleasure.
see everyone later.